Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Listing Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Hernandez. Today, we got some great information. We're going to be talking about creative financing, wholesaling, commercial, residential, mindset, everything. So help me welcome Mr. Johnny. Let's give him a round of applause.
Welcome, Johnny.
Yeah, we got the sound effect.
And how can I forget my co-host, Kevin Hernandez?
The wonderful.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
You made it.
I made it, man. I'm awake.
Awesome.
So, Johnny, I know you have a lot of experience in different areas of real estate.
Yep.
So before we jump all into that, first, tell me exactly what you do and tell the audience what you do.
Currently, I am in a coaching business right now.
Okay.
And then still active in real estate, commercial, and residential. In a lot of right now, I am buying a hospice too.
Oh, okay.
And I'm getting into, you want to call it medical field with assisted living.
Yeah. Still real estate owned.
It is real estate. Yeah. That's the whole point. Real estate owned. And but I am getting into that. I'm dabbling a little bit. It's been 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Got a mentor for it. So it's more stable, I think, and then the wealth on it and then the growth in it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but it's a different beast. That one there's litigations and now you're dealing with human beings.
You know what? Let's touch a little base on that. So you started in real estate, of course.
Still doing real estate.
And of course, that's considered real estate. How did you even, get in touch with that or learn about that?
I think it's like kind of like what your dad is saying about wholesaling. He kind of stumbled in it. Mm-hmm. Same thing with me, real estate. So I was in corporate.
Okay.
All right. 2005 or 7. So I was doing that, and then one of my friends is like, "Hey, you're really good on sales. Have you thought of like getting on the phones and calling these sellers in real estate? Mm-hmm. And then if they want to sell, I have a license. And if they're interested in selling, just book the appointments for me." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, there's a list here. Just call these people and ask them the question. Hey, are you looking into selling? You're interested in selling?" And I go, "This is it?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "In corporate, you have plenty of time. Why don't you do that?" So sure enough, I start calling the list. And people start telling me, yeah, I am interested in selling. What's your offer? Oh, you got to meet my friend, David. He's going to actually give you a call and talk to you about the offer. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, I sent it to David, and David's like, hey, yeah, we're selling. He was telling me, yeah, we're going to make about $10,000, and I'm going to refer you $5,000, and that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, great. So a month happens. I got him 3 appointments, and he's like, hey, we closed on the 3 deals. Mm-hmm. Here's $15,000. So I was like, okay. And he goes, you want to do more? I'm like, yeah, send me more lists. But at this time, I didn't understand what it was going on is wholesaling. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I got familiar with loans, and more people started me choosing to more of real estate agents. Mm-hmm. And they keep telling me, hey, get your license. You can buy 3 homes, be an investor. And I'm like, no, I'm fine where I'm at. Because corporate had me, they call it golden handcuffs. Mm-hmm. So corporate had me with a vehicle, a credit card, bonus, mileage, gasoline. They were paying for my traveling, everything. So there was no reason to go somewhere else. So the money that I was making in real estate, I'm like, dude, it's just spending money. But back then, I was throwing money away. Going to Vegas, spending the 10 grand, coming back, just throwing it everywhere. I didn't think of like, this can end. Uh-huh. So I've been doing that in 2008. Sure enough, one of the lenders said, hey, you can buy 3 houses in 1 month. Mm-hmm. You just need this paperwork and put under your mother-in-law. Let's do it. I'm like, all right. So I got 3 homes. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, what happened in the market in 2008, I didn't read the fine print that it was an arm loan. Mm-hmm. And after 3 months, 6 months, a year, my payment was going to triple. Mm-hmm. Well, at that time, at that home, one of the homes that I got, it tripled. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't afford it. Then corporate says, hey, by the way, we're relocating your job. It's in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I can't go to Texas. They're like, well, we're going to have to give you a severance. That happened at the time where I got the bill that, hey, your house is $9,000 now.
Wow.
So I have no job. I got $9,000. I have another home. So I had 3 mortgages at that time. Uh-huh. I'm like, I can't afford this. My wife goes, we're going to have to let it go and go back to our own home. So we let it go. We went back to the home. And then I got another corporate job with Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. And since then, I was there since 2005, from 2008 to 2016.
Okay.
So I was doing corporate. There's where I learned systems, processes with the biggest company, Coca-Cola. I'm like, how is this company so profitable when the product gives you diabetes? So I'm like, what's going on here? And then second, how is this brand the second recognized brand besides the cross? Because if you show the logo Coca-Cola, people know it worldwide.
Yeah.
Like the cross. So I'm like, why is that? So I start digging in, and I talked to the marketing department. They're like, it's because we do a great on marketing. And that goes back to marketing seniors to sales.
Yeah.
So when I used to sell it to corporate like Walmart and Targets, it was so easy for them to buy because the marketing team had done everything already.
And would you say you learned a lot from their marketing team?
Yeah. Sure? So when I'm talking to them, sure enough, if you look at Coca-Cola marketing, they always put a family gathering in a carne asada with Coca-Cola in it. So in their mind, they're creating like you can't have a carne asada without a 2 liters of Coke.
Carne asada
You
and
can't.
diabetes. Carne
You really
asada
can't.
and diabetes.
Exactly.
The two best things in the world.
Yeah. So from there, I'm like, man, they're awesome at what they do. And I thought I was good at sales. But once I found out about the marketing department, I'm like, wow, it's all about marketing. Becomes before sales. So at that time, I was still doing with my friend doing wholesaling.
Okay.
So once I get into Coca-Cola, I'm like, why am I making so much money for this company? And I'm making good money on wholesaling too. My wife goes, why don't you just leave Coke? Because I got 3 girls, so they're growing. I was stuck in corporate and doing the whole traveling and not spending time with my girls. So everybody sells you in real estate. Become an agent, you're going to have all the time in the world.
Biggest lie in the world.
I know.
It's not true.
I know. I want to go back and I'm like, I still can't remember who told me that. Once I see him, I'll punch him in the face.
Yeah.
But they tell me, hey, you're good at sales. You're doing good on real estate. Leave Coke and come over. And dude, I'm a D driver. Once I put something in my head, I just go for it. Sure enough, I woke up one morning and I'm like, I think I'm done with corporate. And it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I was in charge of the Dodgers, the Lakers, just hosting people. But I'm like, I don't see myself doing this. I think there's a bigger purpose. Because I was getting a lot of compliments from real estate, helping families. I'm like, I think my purpose is to help. So you know what? I'm just going to do it. I tell my wife, you ready? She goes, yeah, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to fail. I got a corporate job. We'll be fine. But I already know you. You're not going to fail. So sure enough, I started researching how long does it take to get a real estate license. I think it's 54 days.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah.
As long as you can pass the test.
Depends if you pass your test, yeah.
And then I started researching that it's an open book to take the 3 certificates.
The certificates.
Yeah, the principal, real estate, and finance.
And law, I think it is.
And then the other one, yeah. So I was like, damn, is it an open book? Crazy, I'll do this. Sure enough, I signed up. I passed the test. I go full in. And then my first broker was Tarbell. They're no longer here. But when I go in there, instead of going to my friend who's doing wholesaling, I went straight to an office. And this guy told me, hey, by the way, here's door hangers. The best way to get leads is to door knock. And I'm like, well, what else do I have to do? He goes, don't worry about anything else. Just sell and door knock. So it got in my head that I should door knock for lead generate. And then the other thing he told me, he's like, do you have money for like budget marketing? I'm like, I don't. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just going full on. He goes, well, all the free leads are either on Zillow, Fizzbolts for sell by owner. And second of all, you can go door knock or go to the swap me. And people would just come to you.
Take us through your emotions. Like when you decided you're going to quit your corporate job and get straight into real estate, what were you feeling? Were you feeling nervous? What were you feeling?
I was feeling excited because I'm like, because I seen corporate. Because I was spoiled. But I didn't see anybody in corporate. Like in my head, I'm never going to own this. But that's actually a good question. Now that I think about it, it did trigger me is that in corporate, your social security is just your number. So the longest you're in there, the easier for them to get rid of you. So as you're going up the ladder and you're getting away from the production, it's easier to let go of your job because that position no longer existed. So like for me, I was a marketing director. They can easily take that and give it to another young guy for half of the salary.
Right.
Yeah.
And just make him an executive marketing.
Yeah.
Hey, your position is no longer there. So I was seeing that at the ladder, the longer you go up there, the easier to get rid of you. And I was moving pretty up there.
And that's the crazy part, right? When you think about these corporate jobs, once they get to the top, you're only there for a little bit. You're there for maybe a couple years, 5-6 years, and then they either give you a severance package or they fire you some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they come up with that severance package. They pull you in there. Hey, by the way, because Coca-Cola is very smart. Like Kevin can buy Coca-Cola. You can call it Kevin Coca-Cola Inc. And what Coca-Cola does, they sell it for 5 years. So they'll lease the brand to Kevin. And we'll just throw a number for let's say for $1 million. Kevin, your territory is California. It's going to call Kevin Coca-Cola Enterprise. After 1 year, we're going to come back and tell you, and Kevin's about, I made so much money. What the profit for the brand? Then Coca-Cola, well, next time, if you want to extend your lease, it's going to be this much. So after 5 years, Coca-Cola leases the brand and then throws it up for bid. So every 5 years is just growing and growing and growing because people are coming in. Like right now, there's a company called Reyes, Coca-Cola. If you look at Coca-Cola trucks, it says Coca-Cola and it says Reyes Corporation. But Reyes made their money in distribution. They're a food distribution company. So when they bought Coca-Cola 5 years ago, they focused on the fleet department. How can they inflate? How can they profit from the distribution of Coca-Cola? So when they went in there, they went and they restructured the whole way they deliver the product.
Okay.
So they cut down a lot of people who were up there who were the fleet managers. They're like, we don't need a fleet manager. Why? Because the fleet manager is the one who manages the trucks and the people. He goes, well, let's not do that. Let's create a tracker that manages the truck. So let's bring a system. So Reyes brought a system and automation that tracks every truck. The truck knows when it stops, when it takes off, and the speed of the truck. And they eliminated that manager, and then what they did is just put a system in place.
So jumping back into real estate, what was one of your when you got back into it and you walked away from corporate? What was one of the struggles you had getting back into it and kind of starting all over or starting back into that?
I think it was a community. Because I'm a driver. So when he told me go door knock and go to swap meet, I went for it. And this guy was selling 40 homes. So why would I not listen to him? So for me, it was like, let me dive into it. But then my first year, I think I sold like 15 homes.
Okay.
Well, my first year when I sold 15 homes, what I noticed is I had the money. My wife knew it was coming in because she saw it in the bank account. But what happened is inside of me, I'm like, because I was so used to a team environment. When we used to sell Coca-Cola and we used to go 20% growth revenue from the year prior, of course, you get your certificate, they get you on stage. You're like, oh my God, Johnny, as a team, we did it. But in real estate, when I sold the 50 homes, I'm like, who do I share this with? I got the money, but like, I'm looking around, even when I used to get paid, and I used to get $10,000, I look at it in my car and I'm like, I look to the right and left and nobody was there. So I'm like, who do I celebrate this with?
Yeah, I think that's where you've seen real estate kind of evolve over the years, right? I remember even when I started, which was, only 15, 16 years ago, it was very by yourself, individual agents and everything like that. And then over the past, I want to say maybe 7-10 years, teams are almost necessary, right? Where you need that person to push you and it's a team environment now. You don't necessarily see an individual agent too often, I should say, anymore.
Yeah, because then it messes up with your mind.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was doing. I was selling 15 homes, but my mind was like, what's next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay, so do I build a team? Like, who do I go with? Because my broker was in production, and he didn't have a team. So what I started looking around is in the office, I saw people selling 30 or 50 homes, but they were celebrating and they were coaching their kids. I'm like, how is this guy selling 50 homes and still talks about coaching his kids and spending time on the weekends? So I put my ego on the side and asked him, hey, Joe, like, how are you doing this? And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, dude, I see you was happy. You're in shorts and you always have a headphone on. And he's like, I'm calling my prospects. And I go, but yeah, but how are you not out there like open with carrying the open signs and everything? He goes, I have a team. I'm like, you have a team? I go, do you need like to call a broker to build a team? He's like, no. Just invite people over to partner up with you, work out a split. And I go, can you teach me? And once again, he's like, well, no, because I paid somebody. Yeah, this is my price speaking time. I'm like, all right, do you have time, like in an hour or anything? He's like, okay, you know what? Tomorrow, come down. I'll give you 1 hour. Mm-hmm. I just want to shadow. I'll shut up. I know I talk a lot, but I'll just be in the corner. I'll just shut up. Sure enough, I came the following day, and he hits the phones right at 9 o'clock. Starts calling expires in FISBOs, and he goes on to Zillow, and he's looking at FISBO set by owners, and he starts talking about like, hey, by the way, I saw your property. And what's it called? You're taking $750 for that. I'm making a number up. He's like, yeah, I am. He goes, I would like to come over, and I do have a buyer. And the guy goes, oh yeah, sure, come over. And then he'll ask the question, boy, if the cash offer doesn't work, like what's your plan B with the property? Because I see you're selling it by yourself. Mm-hmm. So he had a script. When he's asking these questions, he had a script.
Yeah.
And he's going down the script by asking him, okay, well, if the cash offer $750 doesn't work, what's your plan B? Mm-hmm. And the guy goes, well, I'm going to continue selling it. And then he asked another question, how long are you going to do that? And the guy goes, until I sell it. And he goes, the question, what does it mean to you sell it? Mm-hmm. And he's going through that script until finally the guy goes, you know what? You asked a lot of questions. He goes, you know what? Just come over. If it doesn't work out, probably you can list it. And the guy's, okay, that's fine. So he got an appointment there.
Nice.
Less than 30 minutes. And I'm like, did it just happen, Joe? He's like, yeah, I get about 3 to 5 a day. Mm-hmm. And I go, so you're going to the appointment? He goes, no, I'm going to call my listing specialist and I'm going to send him to the appointment. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to make more appointments for him tomorrow.
Nice.
And then
just
I'm
leveraging.
Leveraging and delegating.
So did you run with that method?
So I saw it. Sure enough, he wasn't coaching. Uh-huh. And I told him, how did you learn this? He goes, I got a mentor. Mm-hmm. And I go, well, how much is that? He goes, it's $3,000 a month. In my head, I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But then he goes, well, it's not a lot of money. Because out of these 3 appointments, this is $18,000, 3 appointments. And just throwing 6,000 times 3 is 18. He goes, and second of all, coaching is personal development. I can write it off as taxes. So when he broke it down, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then second of all, Johnny, when you pay $3,000 in your mind, you're going to do the work. Because once you see that those $3,000 come out of your account, it's going to trigger something in your mind. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It goes back to mine. He's like, oh, this is the guy you got to call, make an appointment, and go with it. Sure enough, I hired that guy, and I ran with it, and then I got addicted to personal development. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember who that first mentor, who was it?
Well, first he sent me to Mike Ferry.
Okay.
I only lasted with him for like 15 days because it was 1 call a week or 1 call every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was weird because he'll call me and be like, oh, what's your goal? And I'm like, well, he'd like $1 million. Okay, how you planning on doing that? I'm like, sell homes. He goes, great. Write that down. Yeah, you should do that and you should make calls. And that was it. I'm like, what else? What else should I do? So he didn't tell me about the script or nothing. I guess I just got the wrong one. I'm not going to bash any of the company, like I said, but it was probably the guy that I got.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's not what Joe told me. So from there, I did hire David Harpen. I had him for 3 months. What I got out of him is delegation. I was actually in a call with him yesterday, and it's delegating people. How to leverage, like you're talking, Kevin, leverage other people. Mm-hmm. And after 3 months, I was watching Grant Cardone.
Okay.
So I was watching David, and I got with him for 3 months. Learned a couple of things with him, networked with people because he has his own community. Mm-hmm. And I was watching Grant. I always knew about Grant. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and he's keep preaching this 10X, this community, marketing seniors to sales. And I'm like, shit, that's what Coco's talking about. What is this guy talking about? And then I see that he had built a real estate company, the Ventures, because everybody knows Grant from the used car salesman. That's where he started, and the automobile. Mm-hmm. But the video that I looked at him was on real estate. I'm like, damn, he does real estate too? And the same day, I ran into Barnes & Nobles, and I ran into the book Sell or Be Sold. Mm-hmm. That's by him. I'm like, this guy has a book too? So I pick up the book, and I start
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So I start reading the book Sell or Be Sold. And the book talks about that. Everybody, like right now, I'm selling you my story. I'm selling you my opinion. At the end, you're gonna come back and tell me you're selling me your opinion. You're always selling, and then kids always are selling stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, everything is sales, even your opinion. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give him a call. Sure enough, I made a call, and he had a business. He had a coaching called for business coaching. And then I got one with them, and they're like, hey, I think the best way to go is you already got some coaching under you. Why don't you go on to this mentorship of because you've done a lot with corporate and managing people. Like, why don't you go to we have this program called coaching, a coaching program for businesses. I'm like, a coach? He's like, yeah, man, you've done so much. You've done a lot of things with creative financing. You own a couple homes and stuff like that. He's like, we're testing it out. It's our first year. Why don't you jump on it? And I'm like, sure. Sure enough, I jumped on it. And we went through coaching development. The first 30 days was mindset. Okay. We didn't talk about sales or marketing. It was a group coaching. All we talked about is mindset. What does 10X means? What is 10X people think is money-wise? But 10X is life. 10X your business. 10X your health. 10X your relationship with your family. So it's overall life. So once I understood that, and from there, I understood that in order for me to succeed and move forward in real estate and in any business, I need to have my family involved. Because I can't be running one way and my wife not knowing about it, or my kids not knowing about it. So what I ended up doing is we created 3 columns, and that's how you talk about 10X. How do you 10X your super life? There's an exercise where you separate in 3 lines. The one line is what your goals are, what your wife's goals are, and what your kids' goals are. And what you do is you align them together in that the kitchen table, and you talk about it. Like my daughter, when I told them I'm going in fully into real estate, I'm not going to be able to coach your soccer and your Sundays, and they're like, what do you mean? And I go, yeah. The reason I'm not going to be able to do that is because I saw the column, my middle child put that she wanted a boat and an RV. By 2022, I think she wanted that. I look, Chloe, in order for me to get to the RV and the boat, your dad has to do these things. How bad do you want the RV and the boat? She goes, really bad. Is it more bad than the soccer? She goes, forget the soccer. Forget coaching Saturday and Sundays. I want the boat so we can go to the lake. In order for me to get that, I need to do these things. Commit in the morning from 9 to 5, prospecting, and then got to do open houses Saturday and Sundays. Are you okay with me doing open houses Saturdays and Sundays to get you the boat? She goes, that's fine. So what happened was that Saturday and Sunday that I was doing open houses, Chloe, all she thought about is like, you're helping families and you're going to give me the boat. So when I leave Saturday to do an open house, she knew exactly where I was going. So once you bring your family and your kids, they don't question where you're at. Like my kids will know that when I leave home, I'm going to help families.
Yeah.
Like they know that, like right to this day, they ask me, what do you do for a living? I help families. I help individuals. So when they see me at home, they're like, what are you doing at home? Why aren't you out there helping families? Like Christmas, my middle one, she wanted an iPhone. So I think I was 3 days at the house. And she asked me, he was like, what are you doing here at home? I'm like, oh, it's because they're in the house. He goes, you need to go get me out there, go out there, help families so you can give me the phone. So now they're pushing me instead of questioning me.
Don't lie, John. You got the golf clips in the back, huh?
Right after that open house, you're golfing.
I don't. You know what? Since corporate, because I used to do that a lot.
Yeah.
By the way, the biggest deals that I closed in Coca-Cola were in the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to close a big deal, take somebody to a golf course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't even done golf. We should be doing golf.
Let's go.
I do, especially with commercial. Yeah. But yeah, that's what once I went to Grant, kind of walked me what the 10X Super Life was, bring your family involved. And then we went to the next step. That was marketing. And he showed me how to market your brand, because a brand is very powerful. Like I talked about Coca-Cola, because that represents who you are. Look at Nike. Everybody knows that check. Just do it. Same thing with Coca-Cola. They know them because of the brand. Once you build that brand, that sale's going to come easy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about more the grant. That's awesome. And you do coaching yourself now, correct?
I do.
Why don't you tell us a little about your coaching business?
Yeah, so I don't think I ran into it. It's just that now people, because I got the self-development.
Okay.
And I remember Joe, when he told me I wanted help, he's like, nah, go somewhere else and do it. First, I needed to get the help. We always talk about like fill your cup first before I start filling people's cups. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, let me get the development first. Let me understand the concept, because I always gravitated people. Even Coca-Cola, I always ran a team. Mm-hmm. Remember Kevin was asking me like, what's the difference that like when you snap about it about real estate? It's like I needed a community. So I remember back when I was with Grant talks about building a community, and I'm like, there is no community in real estate. Everybody thinks there's like a competition here.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Definitely.
I think Grant talks about, competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top. If Grant was to do things back 20 years, he would have collaborated more because he had that mentality. Hey, it's a competition. So I'm like, you know what? Collaboration. Whatever people were asking me like, hey, how are you selling 50 homes, 100 homes? I'm like, I have a team. He goes, what can you coach us? So I was coaching them for a year. In typical realtors, somebody would show up, somebody wouldn't show up. So I'm like, my mentor goes, well, why don't you charge them? Because when you pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you don't, like, so free will cost you, but when you pay will make you riches.
You want your money's worth.
Correct. So first I was like on the business, because I was in that promo with Grant on the business side. Mm-hmm. I got all the content, I got the structure, I got the systems and processes. Now I was ready to launch, because I was getting people in the community like, dude, you should coach. You should teach people what you're doing. And people were asking me for it. So I was like, why don't I just open the Empire Academy then with Maritza? And then Maritza, she's in the marketing side. So we made an agreement. Hey, let's partner up. You focus on marketing and I'll work on the sales and then the coaching. And sure enough, we started it, and here we are 6 months. We're profitable. And I started the company with zero money out of my pocket.
Nice.
I did not put anything. And it went back to like, I knew there was a need. I think there's, in Google right now, there's about 1.5 search of people looking for coaching.
Nice.
So it's a business that they need it.
So can I ask you this question? If you were in competition with another coaching company, what does the Empire Academy, how do you stand different than other ones?
It's the systems and process.
Okay.
I think that sometimes people are like, hey, jump into this community and just get in a Zoom, and there is no process or there is no systems. And a lot of people, they would jump into these communities because the first thing they think about, especially in real estate, is sales. Mm-hmm. When in reality, like I was talking to you, is it's mindset first, marketing, and then sales. Mm-hmm. So when you jump in our community, it's like, is your mind right the first 30 days? Are we going to be a perfect fit for you? Because if your mind is not there, it doesn't matter what happens next. Because if you a lot of people check into our communities, but their intentions is for a tax write-off. Mm-hmm. Now, if you come to our community, it's like, let's do an assessment. I have an assessment that checks your mindset, your marketing, and sales. Based on that assessment, let's work on it. Mm-hmm. And we're looking, in our community, we're looking for progression instead of perfection.
Yeah.
And every day you heard the term like getting better 1%. If you think about it like that, getting 1% better. Mm-hmm. So if we started today, by the end of the year, I'm going to be 365% better than I was 2023. So that's why it's so different. Instead of just jumping into a coaching, here's a lot of coaches, what they do is here's a list of online classes. Log in, look at the videos, and good luck to you. Yeah. Not here.
And there's no community there.
There is no community for us. I know people tell me I'm insane, but I'm live every day, Monday to Friday at 9 o'clock. I'm doing the classes myself.
Nice.
I got people telling me, you're insane. Why would you do that? And I'm like, that's the difference too. Because training, I know people don't like the word training, especially realtors. When you say training to them, they're like, what? So when you come into the community, it's like we're practicing, bringing value, options, and information for the client. Right now we currently have a wrapper. We have a financial services, lenders, We have a guy who sells cars. We have a chef. Because because the system and process that I have, it works for everybody.
Okay.
So we have a script, how to greet somebody. It's called the sales process.
Okay.
And there's 5 steps to it. It's how to greet somebody, how to fact find, how to demo, how to close them, and the most important one, how to follow up. And that's where everybody talks about. That's the money is in the follow up.
Gotcha.
So there's a process of following up on somebody. We eliminate the word F. Nobody likes to get in a call and say, hey, I'm just following up. First of all, nobody told you to follow up. So when you follow up, you come from the place of value. When you make the call, make sure when they pick up, you bring value to them instead of saying, I'm just following up. So there's the sales process, and we have a marketing process too, where we have, there's 10 commandments, there's rules. I'll share one with you that everybody's scared on it. It's like in social media. The one rule is that post it like nobody's watching.
Okay.
And then this one comes from God, is be omnipresent. That means be present everywhere in all social media. Just like God goes, he wanted to be everywhere. And it goes back to delegating. Even God needed the disciples as they had to leverage and spread his gospel, his message.
Yeah.
So why can't we use people?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Same with you guys. You know, I'm collaborating with you with the listing agent. That's what we hear. A lot of people, he goes, well, that's your competition. I go, based on what? We're collaborating.
Right.
Because there's certain people are going to gravitate to you. There's certain people are going to gravitate to me. Like I said, I'm a D driver. I'm a numbers guy.
And I think that's the problem. People are always worried about competition. You know what I mean? Example in sports, in college football, everyone's transferring, after their first year because there's somebody ahead of them. Don't be afraid of competition. That makes you better, Yeah. Same thing in the coaching business, whatever it might be, it makes you better. And collaboration always makes you guys stronger. So
yeah, like for you guys, you guys got your own system in place. Yeah, I love your system too. And you guys do this, 3 times out of the week?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
You guys go live, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
And you guys have your own community.
Exactly.
So you guys got your own process. That's why you guys are successful, because it's not like you get in a call and you just cross your fingers and like, hey, I'm just going to have a call at 10 o'clock.
And we're live too. Every single call.
You're live, yeah. And you guys have record them too, correct?
Yeah.
You pass them on? Yeah. So a lot of people have told me, like, why are you collaborating? Why are we doing this? I'm like, because they don't, in their mind, they think it's a competition. In my head, we're collaborating. It's going to be faster to get to where we want to get together than doing it by ourselves.
There's enough food for everybody.
Exactly.
I always tell in a community, everybody eats.
Yep.
Everybody has to eat. Yeah, and from there, same thing with the creative financing. I know you guys, I don't know, Kevin, did you just discover wholesaling? I think.
I've always known about it, just never really dabbled too much into it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's something fairly new, I would say, to our side of it. We've always flipped, but yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, because I know we kind of covered a lot of different things, but let's jump back on the creative financing part. I'm kind of interested in hearing, how you go about that. I know you did creative financing back then, but how is it now, today's market, because with everything going so crazy and the interest rates high, how's creative financing working for you?
It's been amazing because the whole world, but even nationwide, they're so stuck on the banks. Because if you see the news, everybody talks about interest rates. So everybody's stuck that in order to buy property, in order to buy a car, you need a credit or you need to be watching interest rate. When in reality, if you look back in time, I think in the 1800s, before money was created in banks, the way you buy land is you trade it with cows, or it was created where like, hey, let me buy your land and then
I'll give you
pay
2
you
cows.
later. He'll give you 2 cows and I'll pay you later. Then the banks came back and they say, let's create that.
Is that kind of like the barter system or something? What it's called? I think it's like the barter system. That's what they called it.
Oh, they did?
I think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So it's I went back and researched it. One of my mentors was talking about, even Graham was talking about not using your own money, OPM.
Right.
Other people's money. Because I'm like, what do you mean other people's money? But then I heard Grant talking to like doctors in the medical fields, people who weren't very attractive on stocks. And you got to remember, they just spent 8 years in college. All right, they're making over half $500,000. They don't know where to put their money because none of them are savvy or they don't have the time. why don't you have them partner up with them, use their money, and 10x it. So I started listening to them, and I started talking to my family about it, and they were like, "What do you mean you're gonna use my money for what?" So it comes back to like doing the math, educating yourself. Well, if we buy this property for $350, if we flip it, it's gonna be $600. So the only thing I need from you is $100,000. I need it for 3 months. After 3 months, I'm gonna return this money with $50,000 more. And this is the asset. This is a live asset. I can add you to the deed to guarantee your money. They're like, okay, that sounds good. Okay, let's just try it. So once we did that, and I gave them the $50,000 back, they're like, bro, this is like way better than the banks. And I'm like, yeah. So I go, why don't you tell somebody else? And sure enough, people started getting the word that I can give them 7% to 10% of their money in 3 months. So it's about connecting. And the biggest thing that people struggle with is I had to ask.
Yeah.
I had to ask, and I had to educate myself on the creative financing. Because you think about it, I want to say it's easy, even asking somebody. Like right now, I can ask you for $20. I hardly you're gonna tell me no. Like if I ask you, hey Keith, give me $20.
I don't got cash.
I'll Venmo you.
There is, can you sell me $20? It's gonna be hard to say no. Hey, by the way, I tell Keith, by the way, by the end of today, I'll return it for $40.
Sure.
But I have to ask, and I think that's why a lot of the people are afraid or asking, because they get in their own way.
Yeah.
You never know until you ask.
Until you ask. Yeah. So
The worst thing that's gonna happen is no, and we get plenty of no's all throughout our business every day. So
yeah, and they say that they talk about like you can make $1 million today if you want to. In real estate and anywhere, you just gotta ask.
Yeah.
And you gotta find the people who has that. Because I can call somebody who only makes 100,000. It's not gonna give it to $1 million. Or I can find somebody, because everything's public. Somebody who has 20 million right now, and ask them, hey, let me borrow $1 million, and just break it down to him, and he'll lend them to you.
Do you see seller financing a big thing right now?
Yeah, definitely it is. It just depends who it is to you, because you got to do your due diligence. So how you can seller finance something if there's still a loan in it? But it's specific right now with, I think, Kevin, we're getting into multi-units, okay? So there's a lot of, what do you call it, baby boomers?
yeah.
So right now they bought multi-units, let's say 10, 20 units about 30, 40 years ago. They bought it for like 150, 200,000.
Probably.
Now they're worth over $1 million. So they're ready to retire. They don't want to deal with repairs for a management company. Second of all, if they were to sell now, because we live in this beautiful state of California, you're going to get hit with taxes.
Yeah.
Or capital gains. So seller financing will come in and help them out. So I can see that a lot, because I think you guys do target, correct?
Yeah.
Individuals over 70 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a specific reason why you guys do it?
They hold a lot of the assets. You know, they have a lot of the units, the homes, you know, so really we're trying to help them out as much as we can. A lot of them want to downsize, but they don't know how to or where to go, you know, so they're not savvy with, you know, computers.
Most of them just want to retire. Like you mentioned, they kind of want to retire. They just want to relax, not deal with the headaches of tenants, or they want to move out of state, go somewhere cheaper.
Yeah, and they don't want to deal with capital gains, so they can delay it. Totally legal, and that's why I see the seller financing coming in. It's like everything else. Like, if you were to ask me right now, how do you see the market on the listing side? Okay, well, you gotta target those individuals who lived in their home 10, 15 years. You know, or you gotta target those individuals that are moving out of state. And there's ways to target them. You can do it through landing pages. You can do it through mass text. You can ask them by phone call. So, isn't when somebody asks you 2 minutes, is it a good time to buy or sell? It just depends. Are you an investor? Or you're a first-time buyer? Like, what are you at? Or you're somebody who's 70 who lives in a 2-story home and you can't go up the stairs. It's like, who are you? But first is like the motivation. Like, that's why I kind of changed my name with Dr. Johnny, because I want to find out the pain. You know, my Zoom now, and even my Instagram, I changed it to Dr. Johnny, because I'm like, wow, I'm just solving people's problems, people's pain. So when somebody asks me, well, where's the market is heading, it just depends. Are you an investor? Like right now, for us as an investor, it's a great market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a first-time buyer, I don't think it's going to be great because the rates are dropping and there's going to be more competition. We're going back. I think we're going to see this back, that removing appraisals, removing home inspections, and guess who's going to win? The one who has the more money.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that for first-time buyers, it's going to be great to buy, but I'm like, how? Where
I love asking this question. Do you think they should buy right now?
it just depends. What are you at? Oh, by the way, are you in a place where they're kicking you out? I mean, what do you want to do with this property? Like, where are you? We call it the dominating buying motive, DBM. What's your motive of buying right now? So it goes back to like Keith. To answer that question, tell me where you at now. Are you renting? Do you have the job? Can you afford it? And all those things line up. Yeah, go ahead and buy. What's the purpose of you buying?
Yeah.
And a lot of these first-time buyers nowadays, everyone's making more money. You know what I mean? I get these first-time buyers here in the area, and they're making over $200,000. You know what I mean? First-time buyers combined income for the household.
Combined
so,
incomes, yeah.
You know, that's pretty good for a first-time buyer.
Yeah, and then if they can afford it, go for it. But are you going based because the rates drop, but you only make $80,000? How are you going to buy a house in Whittier for $80,000 income? I don't think you even qualify. What are we, an average of 600 now?
Here in Whittier?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're, probably in the high sevens.
High sevens.
50
Yeah, that 80,000 is not
for a
enough.
2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Or what? 900 square feet?
Probably like 1,100. I would say
1,100 or so.
1,100.
Yes, somebody making over 200,000 and they're stable and they can afford it. Yeah, go for it because now it's going to help you with taxes.
Well, they were saying what the average first-time buyer payment in California is $5,700.
Yeah.
$5,700.
I see that face, the expression.
Well, yeah, it goes back to like, can you afford it? You go back to answering your question. Like,
Don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard.
yeah, but it's like, to answer his question is like, are you in a position that you can afford it?
Wow. Well, Johnny, honestly, you've shared a lot of great information today. Thank you so much. We've kind of hit a lot of tips on a lot of different things. Is there anything last thing you want to share with the audience? Give us some tips, give us some advice. Anything you want to share at all?
Yes, it's going to be going back with Kevin is community and then collaborate. If you can get with the community who can support you and you can share your wins and they align with you with your, I call them targets. I don't call them goals because goals can be moved.
Yeah.
Once you hit a target, you can move a target. So I think what advice I can tell somebody is find a community like the community you guys have.
Awesome. I love it.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah, no, community is everything for sure.
Love it. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it, man.
Well,
thank you guys.
Thank you, Johnny, for again coming on. We would love to have you back. And thank everybody for listening and watching. And yeah, hopefully everyone goes out there and kills it this year. Happy 2024.
Yep.
All right.
I'll see you guys.
Thanks, guys. Let's give everyone a round of applause.